Hey everyone, what's up? This is Simon back with a new tutorial on CSV data. So we will build an Ionic app into which we can import a little CSV data export, display it as a cool table, and then also change the data and export it back, and also save the file, something we didn't do last time correctly. So let's do this. I've today started a blank new app and I already did a few things. So to follow along, first of all, start a new 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's how you know my eyes really hurt after those videos. So first of all, start a new app, go into your app and then install the ngx Papa Parse package. So this is a package which we can use to parse data into our app. The install and how to edit is pretty simple. Simply copy Papa Parse module to your app module and then add it to the imports, and then you're already ready to use it. Actually, this is the Angular wrapper around the original package, and this one is simply fast and powerful CSV parser, not anything else. So actually Papa in Germany means dad, so I don't know if someone from Germany invented that package, not sure. Anyhow, that's the first step. The second step is about the native platform, because we can import the files and we can save it on a desktop browser pretty easily, but for mobile there are more problems. And what we need to store the file is first of all the Ionic native file wrapper around the Cordova plugin file. So go ahead with those two. And then also a bit more interesting, the social sharing. This is needed because we can save the file, but we won't see it really, especially on iOS, in our iCloud or whatever Numbers app where we can open documents. So they will only be stored in the apps folder most of the time, and I didn't find a right way to do it with a Cordova plugin file. I only read that it's not possible. So this is a nice little backup when you can simply export the file to wherever you want, your Notes application, I don't know, email, but also the cloud folders and so on. So go ahead with all of this and then I will close this, and our application right now looks like this, just blank, nothing in it so far. What we need now as well is the imports for our file plugin and the social sharing. Both of them go to the array of providers as usual. So social sharing. And then we also want to load a local CSV data file. This could also be hosted somewhere else, but I will just include it in here. And if you want to load a file, you need the HTTP client. So import from Angular common and add it to your import. So that's it for the app module. Now to the CSV file, I put a little test CSV in my assets folder. As you can see, the comma is the delimiter. We got the information about the header, and then we got 5, 6 data sets with some, I don't know, random data, whatever. And we will import this. As I said, you can also simply host this. It would be basically the same flow. So feel free to host the file, but I had problems with the course headers and then the filing expired, and then I just came back to making it like this, which is, as I said, the same procedure. So let's have a little private load CSV, and then we will call it in here this.load CSV. So to load the file, simply use the HTTP package, make a GET request to the local URL, which is in my case in assets test.csv. So you can see it, assets test CSV right there. Then you can subscribe to this, but we will actually run into a little issue here, but no problem, we can handle this. So let's log the data out. There we go. Let's maybe also catch any errors that appear. Console. Ooh, what is this? That looks crazy. Looks like a Swift class name or anything like this. So error. Okay, there we go. Now our application already loads the file and hopefully prints out the data, which, to no surprise for me, is not going to work. As you can see in here, HTTP failure during parsing, and in the error you can also see syntax error, unexpected token in JSON. This simply means the HTTP is normally expecting JSON data, and to fix this we can tell it that the response type is actually text. So then the HTTP client won't try to parse the JSON immediately, and then we will get back the plain text. You could use this all the time, but of course, normally if you get JSON data, this really makes sense that it is out of the box like this. And then we need a way to extract the data, because right now the data is of course simply a string that we need to parse into like an array format, and then we can display it in our view. So instead of logging the data, let's use this .extract data with the actual data. And then we first of all have to use Papa Parse. Let's make a little security backup here in case there's nothing, just for, I don't know, maybe that could happen. So to import Papa Parse, in the previous way we had not really any type information, but with the ngx package we can now use Papa like this. The auto import comes as well, and then on our CSV data we call this .papa of course parse, in this case parse CSV to an array, and then we pass in the CSV data, and also we can tell what should be done or what we want to do once we complete the operation. Actually, with the parsed data in that case, we want to fill two arrays. So let me bring them in real quickly. One will be the real CSV data, and then the second one will be our header row. So we can distinguish between them and don't mix these things. So the header row we can simply get from the parsed data .data. As you can see, there are three objects in the parsed data, so simply select data, and then we can splice it to simply get the first element. And if you happen to know a bit about the splice one, this will also return an array. So in that case, we can use the first one. Maybe I should do a bit of logging in here so you better see what is going on. So this is our parsed data. And then we will also log the second one, so the splice. So you see that is an array. And then of course, for the rest of our real CSV data, we can simply use the actual parse data object. And now we can go back, make a little reload, and then we should see the first look is what Papa Parse gives us back. So we see actually some general information, and in the data we already see a few rows. Actually the first row is already missing because we spliced it. So here you see that's a bit confusing that it's locked out in a different way, but we changed it later. But here's anyhow our header row information, and the rest is in the CSV data. Actually really kind of strange that we log it before, then we change it, and then it's immediately reflected on the object. I don't know how I think about this. Okay, let's go to the home page. So now we got an array with arrays. Actually, we should do this again. My array, just so you see what is really our data that we can iterate. So let's do the reload, and there we go. This is an array of arrays. So we need two ng4 loops, and we also need the header row. And we will do this simply in a table. If you do this with an ion grid, actually the problem is that the grid just takes the whole width of the view, and if you look at this, that's a pretty small view. And if you got a lot of data, things won't look like you expect them to. So let's use a class, a data table table, whatever. You could actually also use the ngx data table package. I think we had a tutorial on this in the past. If you want to see it with Ionic 4, you know what to do. Leave a question, comment, or anything else below. And of course, make sure to already like the video because we're getting into the cool stuff. So let header of header row, or headers? Did I call it headers? No, normally not. I don't know. I had code completion from my TypeScript file to the HTML a few days ago. I don't know what happened. Anyhow, let's do this. So our header is simply the header, and there we go. Now we should already see a little header row with the columns. So not looking really good right now, but we will get to this. At a later point, it will definitely look good. So then we come to the real data format. And as I said, this is just a double ng4. So the first ng4 is let row of CSV data. Come on. And also let's keep the index at hand because we need it. So that's each of the rows should give us 6 or 7 rows. And then the columns are simple again, ng4 let data of row and the index as well. So now we can just print it out, or we could use an ion input. So we can then also change the data in our little table. And to actually change this so we can export it later, we have to connect it with an ng model. And I don't know why, I just had like data in the ng model in the beginning, but of course that is completely wrong. What you need to do is get the exact position in our array of CSV data, which is a 2-dimensional array. So this is the first one and this is the second one. I hope you can follow this. Let's I don't know, some basic programming class stuff, I would say. Actually, this will also get a little class, so we can change the styling a bit, or we should apply it there. What we also need on the ion input is something, or maybe let's just take a look at it before I tell you too many things at once. So let's see. This is our table. These are the input fields. I can change this, but as you can see, I can only enter one character. If you could see my hand on the keyboard, you would see, perhaps you can hear it, I can always enter only one key. And to fix this, we can add a track by function to our ng4 iteration, because otherwise the ng4 doesn't really know what you do after you've changed the data once. So let's add this track by function here and then define it somewhere in the view, in the TypeScript class. So this will be index any item any, and we will just return the index. That's just a quick fix to fix the issue. And now you should see that I can continue typing in my input field, as you can see, changing the data all the time. So now we got the problem of the view, and therefore let's add a bit of CSS to our view. So let's say the data table definitely has a min width of 800 pixels. This will already make it quite big. Then we've defined the data column. So let's give all the data columns a little background. What did I pick in my example? This one. So this should already give us a bit better view. But now you see we can type. It's not really obvious where we are typing, and we can't really see that we can scroll on a mobile device. We could actually scroll, I think, but right now we can't. So two things. First of all, let's change the focus color. Therefore, we can simply inspect our class, and let's make this a bit bigger. Then we can easily find out that, come on, whenever we click into this field, the it is, hasFocus class is added. So let's use that class, hasFocus, and set the background CSS color of the field to something a bit more obvious, like a light yellow color. And now when the hasFocus class is added to an input field, we will see that the input field becomes yellow, and it is a lot easier to find out what is going on. Now in terms of the width, there's actually something from Ionic that we can do. So simply say scroll X true on the Ion content. Watch out for the bottom. This will now on the browser actually give us a bottom bar, and on the mobile we can also scroll through this. So the Ion scroll from Ionic 3 is not present anymore. But with this fix, or simply with a div element, we can solve the problem as well. And then we get to the second part. So right now we can import, we can change all the data, and now it's time to export our data. So let's write another function, export CSV. And within this function, we first of all get the CSV data by again using Papa Parse, and now this time we call unparse, so the opposite direction of parse. Who would have thought? And in here we need the fields, which are actually the header row, and then the data, which is of course the CSV data. Now let's look this out. So CSV. Now the problem comes that we had in the last one, our tutorial that we did on this topic. On a browser, it is pretty easy to save a file, but it isn't on a mobile device. So let's add the platform so we can find out if we are running on a mobile device. So if this platform is Cordova, that means we're running in a mobile environment. Otherwise, we're somewhere else. And for the otherwise, I will just bring in this dummy block that I found somewhere, which basically creates a blob element, adds it to the document in a really ugly, non-angular way, gives it a name, and then automatically clicks it and removes the child. So it's like the ugliest way, but it works pretty good, I would say. Actually, we could now see this in action because right now we are on our desktop. So let's call this one test. Let's hit the export, new data, there we go. And then we should open it. Actually, I like the view. Can I directly open this in numbers somehow? Is that possible? No, I don't like that view in there. Sweet Jesus. Yes, let me do this. No problem. There we go. Numbers, please open. So I'm on a Mac, and with numbers, we see the result looking like this, and we see the changed line right here. We see the header row gets a different styling, and the rest of the data is there as well. But now for mobile, we can use the file plugin and the social sharing plugin, as I said in the beginning. So file, make sure you got the import right, which is most of the time the second one for file, and private social sharing import as well. And now the fun begins. This .file, write file. First of all, we have to store it in our application. So therefore we can use the data directory, for example, then give it a name, data CSV, and finally some text, which is the actual CSV, and options if you want to simply pass replace true, so you will always write to that file. And then we should have some result. Jesus, my view is too small. And now we can use this result, which has actually a native URL. So you could log this out. No, I think the notation is native URL like this. Log this out at this point and you will see it. And then simply immediately afterwards call the social plugin, call share, and don't pass any data to it. So null, then the file, which is our native URL, and again null, and then you actually don't need a then block right here. Only if you run into problems, perhaps implement the then for the write file and for the share to see if anything is going wrong. And now we can test this, but first of all, we have to deploy it to the simulator or device. I will do my device, so let's check it out. Alrighty then, here we go. And the first thing we note is that we can easily scroll through this. Actually, it bounces a bit. We could disable that as well, but for now, that's fine. We can tap into it and we can change all the data, There we go. So everything's working up until here, just like on the browser. So now let's hit export. What happens in the background is the file is written to the storage of our application. That photo of me is super old, like, I don't know, maybe 8 years or more. And we get the social sharing dialog. So we can now save it to our files, to the Dropbox. We could message it, we could mail it. If you click add to notes, you already see that the data as CSV is attached. I actually found that you can also directly copy two numbers. So let's give this a try. And there we go. Can we get any closer to the data? Yes, of course. So here again, the CSV data exported directly to numbers with the changes included. And that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial on CSV data. If you got any more questions about the topic, feel free to leave them below. I hope you enjoyed it. So in that case, make sure to subscribe and like the video. Check out also the Thursday vlog episodes, of course. Enjoy your day and see you next time.